Oh, hi, Mark. The Evil Dead. All right, that bit's over. I'm putting all of it away. Putting all of the Evil Dead stuff away. The Evil Dead is a 1981 horror film directed by Sam Raimi and starring the Bruce Campbell, the one and only. Um, and I couldn't tell you who else stars in this film because none of them got as big as Bruce Campbell did. And I'm sorry to those other people. But The Evil Dead is a movie that's very near and dear to my horror heart. I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say, cause that was dirty. Now it's gonna go somewhere dirty with it. But it's a film that's very near and dear to my horror heart because this is one of the first and only films that I have ever turned off because I was terrified of it. Um, I was a kid when I first saw The Evil Dead, and I didn't go through the whole spiel of what the movie's about, mostly because I figured that you already know what The Evil Dead is about, but also because I forgot. So look up a synopsis if you really want a synopsis that bad. But when I was a kid, I watched The Evil Dead, I believe on Netflix for the first time over at a friend's house. And I I was too young to understand any of the comedic elements to this film. And for those of you who are going to go, The Evil Dead 1 wasn't comedic, it was Evil Dead 2 that started being comedic, and Army of Darkness was the most comedic. I understand The Evil Dead. I understand this franchise very well, believe me. I've seen them a lot of times, okay? If you go back and you rewatch The Evil Dead, there is a lot of campiness in it and a lot of comedic elements. But I will admit, obviously, this one is meant to be a whole lot more serious than Evil Dead 2. For the longest time, this was my favorite Evil Dead film because I associated it with that experience of watching it for the first time, and it scared the hell out of me. I mean, I was over at a friend's house. It was the middle of the day. It wasn't nighttime or anything. And I remember back then, we would watch horror films all the time. We'd watch Friday the 13th a lot at night. We would watch, I remember that I watched the Paranormal Activity movies, like when he was asleep, and like Wrong Turn 4 and a couple of the Halloween movies. Like, we watched horror films, but there was something about The Evil Dead that scared me so bad. I kept telling him, I think we should turn this off. And he's like, but like, you don't want to be like a little bitch, do you? Come on, dude. We gotta finish the movie. I was like, I'm okay with being a little bitch. I don't want to finish this movie. I think I was probably in like the fourth or fifth grade at this point. And finally, I grabbed the controller because I think we were watching it on his PS3 at the time. I grabbed the controller and I just exited out. And it took him like 10 or 11 minutes to like talk me back into finishing the film. I was so fucking distraught that I couldn't finish it. He finally did talk me into it, and we watched the rest of it, and I was paranoid for like the rest of the day, and I thought about it frequently after that. This movie scared the piss out of me, and even going back to it now, it's freaky. Okay, as I said, there's a lot of campiness that I pick up on now that obviously I didn't pick up on as a little kid because all I knew when I was a little kid is this movie freaked me out. But there is a lot of campiness in it when I watch it now. But at that time, I didn't pick up on any of that. And even now, when I watch it, it is such an uneasy experience. It feels like you're watching something that you shouldn't, like that human beings weren't meant to see, sort of thing. Like a fucking camera reel just popped out of an extra dimensional portal and landed in your living room, and you watch it and this is what's on it. Like, it's something from beyond the pale that you weren't supposed to see. That's the vibe I get from it. It's very, I don't know if uncanny is the correct terminology for that. And I just said terminology very oddly. Terminology. But it feels, I think uncanny is the correct terminology for that, the correct word. It feels very uncanny and so freaky, so freaky. Um, to this day, Cheryl. Wait, was it Cheryl? Oh, I don't remember which one it was. It's been a little bit since I've seen this film. Usually, I watch the movie right before I review it, but I just got done filming my The Dead Hate the Living review, and I looked back at my collection, and I was like, I could just like review The Evil Dead because I've seen that movie enough times. Um, Ash's sister, I think, or maybe that wasn't Ash's sister. All right, whoever that is, the demon that, or the girl that gets possessed by the deadite, that sits in the doorway. Upon rewatch, she does like very little. She is there just to taunt him, and like that's a goofy concept when you put it in your head, because like the goal of these demons is for everyone to be dead by dawn, right? It is for everyone to just be possessed, and for them, I don't know, it's kind of murky. Like, I guess they want in our world, but like they are in our world, so why would they not just like leave the cabin as soon as they get over maybe multiple demons are trying to possess people, and then they can all get out? I don't really know. I don't know why they sit there and just kind of torment these people. Maybe they're just doing it for funsies. But the girl that sits in the doorway and starts going, "We're gonna get you, not another peep. Time to go to sleep." That's actually the part that I turned it off at. When she started chanting, "We're gonna get you," I was done, dude. I was absolutely done. My little fourth, fifth grader brain was absolutely flabbergasted. That was the scariest thing I'd ever seen in my whole life. And it's still terrifying. It is still so fucked up. The gore in this movie is another thing entirely on its own that is so crazy. I mean, it is very obviously just practical special effects made with like paper mache and latex and shit, but it's so creepy, and the off weird white milkiness of like their eyes that look like milk that you've like set liver into to marinate overnight. If anyone's ever done that, you know exactly what I'm talking about, where like the blood from the liver like leaks into the milk and it makes the milk kind of pink. That's what their fucking eyes look like, and that is so freaky. Dear God, what happened to her eyes? So good. It's so good. Um, I think I'm actually gonna watch The Evil Dead after this. I'm hyping myself up here. Uh, though I'm not gonna get into that yet. But the yeah, all the practical effects makeup, it's all so very cool. Obviously, looking back at it now, it doesn't look realistic at all, but I think that honestly adds to the freakiness. The fact that it doesn't look real, that it's just like these demon things are changing people's physiology to make them like, I don't know, big piles of goo and shit. Like when towards the end of the film, where the I keep calling them demons, deadites, whatever. It's the same thing. They literally say, I think it's in Evil Dead 2. They literally say that a deadite is an ancient Kandarian demon. Kiss my ass. It's a demon. Um, but like where one of the demons like starts decaying, and they use like oatmeal or like cream of wheat or something, and it's like spurting out of her sleeve. That is so nasty. I don't even know how to put into words why that is so gross to me. But it's just the way they're just big, vile bags of pus and disgusting nastiness. It just gets in your butt, Steven. I didn't mean to take it there, I'm sorry. But it gets into your soul. It leaks in there like a, I don't know, man, like something. but it gets into your soul, and it really freaks you out. At least it freaked me out. I don't know how anyone could watch this movie and just be 100% okay afterwards. Like, I don't know. There's something very innately creepy about it and violating and like unnatural about every little thing about this movie. Of course, the performances aren't fantastic, and that's probably one of my issues with it is, and maybe it's not fair to call it an issue because I think some of the campiness in this movie was intentional. And so when I talk about the campiness, I think a lot of it was intentional. I don't know if Sam Raimi's making of Evil Dead 2 was kind of a Toby Hooper situation, where, if you're unfamiliar with the reference that I just made, and probably a lot of you are because I wasn't super clear on the reference, I guess Toby Hooper actually made Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 because a lot of people missed the humor in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1, which, that's a humorless film, so fuck you, Toby Hooper. We didn't miss it. You just forgot to put it in. That is one of the most terrifying films ever made. Get out of my face with that. But I don't know if maybe that's why Evil Dead 2 went so banana sandwich off the wall. But in the first Evil Dead, the humor was very toned down. It wasn't quite as crazy as Evil Dead 2 for sure. It was just kind of subtle campiness, which made it just kind of feel trashy. But like, trashy is such an aggressive word, such an excessive word, I guess, for how the movie felt. Because like, I mean, I guess not, because there, it does feel kind of trashy in that. But in other aspects, um, I mean, it's obviously elevated by Sam Raimi's excellent direction. He was one of the most aggressively original filmmakers in America in that whole era. And I am perfectly comfortable with saying that. You give me John Carpenter, you give me Wes Craven, okay? I'm sorry, they didn't have the fire that Sam Raimi had. Um, they are excellent filmmakers, and I don't necessarily mean to say that they are lesser filmmakers because Carpenter, Craven, Hooper, they all made great movies. It's just that their style of directing wasn't as batshit crazy as Raimi's. Raimi has this really tangible style to all of his movies that started clear back at the Evil Dead one. Maybe he made short films or something before that where it even predates that. But he has one of the most distinct styles that I've ever seen. You never watch a Sam Raimi movie and cannot immediately tell that this is a Sam Raimi movie. Even if we go to things like Spider Man and Doctor Strange, The Multiverse of Madness, it all still feels like Raimi. That's one of the coolest things about Sam Raimi, in my opinion. I really, really love that about his films. They all just feel, that's fucking Raimi. And that is awesome. He is great. All of the like perspective camera shots where it's like the camera on the front of like a motorcycle or something. I forget exactly how he said he achieved that. I watched the commentary of Evil Dead 2 at one point. I'm pretty sure those same shots are in this movie though, so I assume it was the same thing, right? Um, and just all of that, all of the quick zoom ins and all the just crazy shit. It feels like a fever dream is what it feels like. Um, it's corny yet it's effective. Uh, yeah, just very aggressive originality from him, and I really appreciate it. And as I said, it kind of elevates some otherwise trashy elements of this movie, where it's kind of like those elements are still there, but this movie is directed so well and shot so well, you don't really give a shit. You don't really care that those trashier, goofier elements are in there. Um, so that's one of the huge things. that I would praise about this movie, but yeah, man. I mean, there's not much I don't like about it. The performances are kind of meh at times, and of course, that's something that I've said. Another thing I want to praise: the voices of the demons are so freaky. Uh, Everything about the demons. I'm just gonna say that now. Everything about the demons. Scariest demons in any movie. Exorcist, eat your heart out. Okay? I don't care. I do not care. You can give me. She's in here with us. Over. We're gonna get you. Any day of the week. I will sit in a room with Reagan from The Exorcist while she pukes pea soup all over that bitch before I step anywhere near that woman in the doorway. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And if you think I'm going in that cellar, you're out of your mind. Okay? um, so anyway, yeah, everything involving the demons terrifying. The one thing I'm not huge on, and I think Raimi has even gone back and said that he kind of regrets it from this movie, is the tree rape scene. Don't like that. I don't know why that was in the movie. Yeah, it was kind of unnecessary. I didn't really need to see a tree go into someone's hoo ha. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's just, yeah. I don't like when horror films go sexual anyway. Um, which is why I'm not a big fan of things like I Spit on Your Grave or The Last House on the Left. Even though I think Last House on the Left is kind of brilliant in ways, just it's kind of an exercise in the darkness of the human soul and the depravity. What you could argue that I Spit on Your Grave does that too, but I think The Last House on the Left does it better in that it's like, I don't know, the whole movie is just seeped in depressing atmosphere and just kind of like emptiness, like that movie ends on such an empty, meaningless shot, like the dad has just like killed all these people with a chainsaw and done these horrible things, even though the people deserved it, obviously. And he's just like sitting there with a bloody chainsaw and he still doesn't have his daughter. We're not here to talk about The Last House on the Left. I do love aspects of that film, but as I said, I'm not huge on the whole sexuality thing. I don't like rape in my movies. I barely, I said it, I was going to say I barely like sex scenes. I don't like sex scenes. I just like rape scenes less. They're very vile and exploitative in my opinion, and they just don't really have a place in horror. In my personal opinion, a lot of people dig that sort of thing. I guess maybe it just disturbs them and they like being disturbed, and that's cool. But I think you can get your shocks somewhere else. I just don't think that needs to be around. Um, so in this film, that kind of rubs me the wrong way that a tree just like goes up someone's hoo ha. Um, I think the 2013 Evil Dead film did that scene a lot better, and I'm actually okay with it in the uh, 2013 Evil Dead film. But in this film, it's almost like the trees are like, I don't know, man. They're like groping her and like ripping her clothes apart. It just felt very trashy. And not even Sam Raimi's excellent direction could save that scene. I just don't appreciate it. But other than that scene, man, this movie is so good. It is very cliched at spots. Um, I say at spots. At this point, it's a very cliched film. It's a cabin in the woods horror film. Really, it is the cabin in the woods horror film. Of course, you could argue that's Evil Dead 2, the cabin in the woods horror film, the quintessential cabin in the woods horror film that all other cabin in the woods horror films are measured by. I just said cabin in the woods so many times. It's lost all meaning. But uh, I say this one is kind of the horror film because Evil Dead 2 is more of, it's horror comedy. I think Evil Dead 2 is by far and away the best Evil Dead movie, but this one is still yeah, it's the scariest one for me. 2013 is a scary movie for sure, and it did scare me when I first saw it, but I don't think anything at all will ever compare to the first time I watched The Evil Dead 1981, and I turned the film off because of how uncomfortable it made me and how scared I was. And if that's not a special experience in horror films, I don't know what is, because it is so rare that that's happened to me. That happened to me, I think, one other time in my whole life. I watched The Sixth Sense when I was very, very little. My dad watched it with me because that's one of like the only scary movies that my dad liked, and he kept trying to get me to watch The Sixth Sense with him, and I would always say no, I don't know. You know, I was scared. I was scared to see it, and really, I think it was just that I was kind of like in my head about it beforehand. But I was pretty little too, and I remember. I think it was right after the scene in the school where the kid gets into the closet and that ghost starts like screaming in the closet. That scene freaked me out so bad. I think I stopped watching after that. Um, but that was when I was really little. This movie was a little later than that, probably a few years later than that. And The Sixth Sense is child's play in comparison. I mean, realistically, I don't even really like The Sixth Sense nowadays. Uh, I really do think that movie is all twist, and the twist, in my opinion, ruins any scares the movie had. So, eh, man, eh. I don't care for it. But The Evil Dead, great through and through. Scared the shit out of me. All right, I think I'm done talking about The Evil Dead. At the end of the day, I think this movie is like a 9 out of 10. It is so fucking close to being perfect for me. It's not even funny. Um, if you haven't seen The Evil Dead, please watch it. I watch all of the Evil Dead movies. There's not one movie in this whole franchise that's bad. The Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, Evil Dead, Evil Dead Rise, they're all awesome. Please just watch all of them and understand that they are all drastically different movies. But yeah, guys, that's going to be it for this video. I really appreciate you watching till the end, if you did watch till the end, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Probably won't, but I'm going to keep saying it in hopes that one day I do.